One of my favorite things about the Kenshin manga is that Watsuki allowed us to get inside his mind if we so desired. Usually at the end of a chapter, Watsuki has a page written out for us that tells us how these characters came to be. These pages are titled The Secret Life of Characters, and it is here that he gives us an insight as to what his characters are about straight from the man himself. Which, if you ask me, is fantastic because we don't have to go hunt down interviews where he was asked on the spot about a character and he pulls it out of his ass like another great forgetful man whose work I too love and respect.
Toriyama, what happened to the Shinju tree?
Watsuki has given us these Secret Life of Character pages for all sorts of characters that have appeared in his story, such as main characters like Kenshin, Kaoru, and Yahiko, villains like Jine, Aoshi Shinomori, and all of the Oniwaban, and even characters like Tai from the Akabeko. Tai's page is actually one of my favorite pages because we get so much insight about a character who is simply a background character. In her page, we find out that Watsuki wrote her character as he went along. We also find out that she was created for the Zanza story at the beginning of the manga. Watsuki created her as a friend for Kaoru, who Kaoru would want to go out and patron. Tai was then made the daughter of the Akabeka owner, and at the time of this page's creation, she picked up an interest in paintings, which was the means for Sanosuke to reunite with his childhood friend. Finally, the most interesting thing about Tai is that she's a rejected model design for Kenshin. What? Yeah, I'm serious. Watsuki writes, as mentioned, Tai was created with no planning at all, meaning that there wasn't much planning put into her design either. She's actually an update of an earlier rejected model for Kenshin, with the black version of the Kenshin prototype hairstyle and a softer female face. Crazy, right? Tai being a rejected Kenshin model is a great way to seg into our hero Kenshin. So at the end of the very first chapter, you'll find a Secret Life of Characters page based on Kenshin Himura. In it, we find out that Kenshin is based off a real life Hitokiri named Kawakami Gensai. Sort of, except totally different. Watsuki's words, not mine. According to Watsuki, Kawakami Gensai was one of the 4 great Hitokiris of the Bakumatsu. He was short and skinny and could be mistaken at first glance for a woman. He was also said to be clever and clear-headed, but also being one of the most feared manslayers of the revolution. Kawakami's sword style was called Shiranui Ryu, and he's famous for killing a man named Sakuma Shozan in one swing in broad daylight. But being that Hitokiris are assassins, there's really not much more information about his killings. So much of his work isn't properly recorded since he probably did most of his work in secret. After the Bakumatsu ended, he found himself in constant conflict with new officials of the government. He held a strong idea that Japan should keep itself isolated, and unfortunately for him, he was accused of a crime that he did not commit, and he was executed in the 4th year of the Meiji. What the crime was, I don't know. Now here's where the correlation between Kawakami and Kenshin start to connect. Kawakami was not able to easily forget his fallen comrades and the people he had to kill. Doesn't that sound just like Kenshin? A man who walks the earth trying to atone for the sins that he committed by protecting the people of the new era. And Kawakami, a man who cannot forget the people he killed. Watsuki writes, as I researched further, it began to occur to me that this story wasn't so cut and dry. What this Hitokiri could not let go of was his duty to his fallen comrades and to the men he had killed. It's this that gave me the initial idea for the Kenshin character. He also adds that Kenshin's personality was also ripped from other selfless men of the Bakumatsu such as Okita Soji of the Shinsengumi, and Kenshin's mysterious quality was taken from the real-life Hajime Saito. Finally, the reason that Kenshin looks the way he does, besides being based off a small and slender Kawakami Gensai, is because in Watsuki's debut work, his main character was a tall, black-haired man in flashy armor, and Watsuki wanted to go the opposite route with Kenshin, but he looked too much like a girl, so he drew the cross-shaped scar on his left cheek to give him some edge. In terms of graphic design, I had no real motif. The main character of my debut work was a tall, black-haired man in showy armor. So when I set out to design someone completely opposite to him, he ended up coming out like a girl. Not knowing what else to do, I put a cross-shaped scar on his left cheek. Now that same X marks the spot at which Battosai became Kenshin, or so I've heard. So that's Kenshin. Seriously, I have so much admiration for Watsuki for the simple fact that he incorporated these secret life of characters into the manga. He gives this story so much more life than the story itself. By reading through these pages, we learn about these characters through the story and outside of the story. We learn about the man himself, the man who created Kenshin, who also loves to poke fun at himself by using his own characters to give him a hard time. On top of that, he gives us insight as to his thoughts about the anime at the time that it was going into production. The Kenshin manga is a real gem, and if you haven't picked it up, I highly recommend you checking it out. And finally, with my parting words, manga Yahiko is a much better character than anime Yahiko. I think everyone will love him, so I'd say go check it out. Thanks for watching.